Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here tonight. It's wonderful to see all of you. First thing I will say is, of course, thank you for joining us. Precisely at 7:00, whenever this call sounds to us, I hope you'll all stay and join us for iftar afterward. So we're excited to have so many people with us to celebrate. Since I have had the pleasure of becoming the director here, this is the first time we've been able to host an iftar. So I'm very excited to sit with you and chat some more about all the things that are so important to us all. For those whom I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, my name is Pierce Paul Kriesman. I'm the executive director of ACOR, and we're very grateful that you've taken your time tonight to join us. So I will do very little else now and turn it over to Dr. Ahmed Kizo, who's going to be our MC for the evening, and he will give us an introduction to our lecturer. We are excited to have this lecture tonight because, as you, I hope, know, ACOR's mission is advancing knowledge of Jordan and the interconnected region, past and present. And I expect we're going to get into a little bit of future tonight with this lecture as well. So we're excited to see it. Ahmed, all yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome to the American Center of Research most recent lecture on sustainable tourism in the Middle East. As archaeologists, when we think of what we would benefit the local community in terms of archaeological sites, we usually think to turn it into a tourist destination. During this era of revolutions of communication and transportation, tourism has become an important resource of income for many countries, including Jordan, which is rich in cultural heritage sites that have the potential to be central attraction, not only in terms of cultural tourism, but also ecotourism, and to create stronger links between cultural heritage, local communities, and nature. Lubna Qaryouti will introduce us to a new ecotourism model, which was developed by several projects in Europe and the Mediterranean as well. So we will see how we can benefit from nature and cultural heritage in a sustainable way. Lubna is a consultant for the Nationality Determined Contributions Action Project, which is an initiative between the United Nations Environment Program and its collaborating center in Copenhagen, the Climate Center, Copenhagen Climate Center. Ms. Lubna holds a master's degree in nature resources from the University of Arizona in Tucson. Her work is concentrated on sustainable tourism, as it's clear, and in new technology, including GIS or Geographic Information System modeling. Before giving the floor to Mrs. Lubna, I would like to thank the staff of ACOR for organizing this event today. It's, as Birspo mentioned, the first iftar as well, and also for this important lecture. Our next lecture will be about geology and fossils from Jordan, where we will explore the geology of Jordan and some also footprints of dinosaurs in Jordan, the last discoveries. I will now turn it over to Ms. Lubna to tell us about this tourism and sustainable. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good evening. So first, I would like to thank ACOR for inviting me today. And I'm really thankful for having this audience today. I didn't expect to have that much of people, and I'm really thankful for you. So today we're going to talk about the sustainable tourism. And to be honest, maybe I joined IUCN ROWA regional office of West Asia 7 years ago. And I had the chance to work on one of the really very good and innovative projects in Mediterranean. It's called MEET project. MEET stands for Mediterranean Experience of Ecotourism. And they introduced new modeling a new model of tourism in Mediterranean. So I was thinking of what if we replicate this model in Middle East? We have good nature, we have nature that's enriched of very good and very various species, animals and plants, good landscapes. So that's why I thought maybe that this lecture will be a good start to start thinking about this kind of new model to be applied and replicated in Jordan. Not only in Jordan, but in Middle East. So first of all, as you see that it's as it's written, we know that the Mediterranean, we're going to start first to talk about the Mediterranean because the project was first on the Mediterranean region. And just to mention something, Jordan was part of this project because of the Mediterranean climate. We didn't have the location of Mediterranean basin like Lebanon, but Jordan has the Mediterranean climate. So it was part of this project in addition to Lebanon and another Arabic country, Tunisia, as I remember. So before start talking about this project, first we need to know, and as we know, that the region is in Mediterranean is considered one of the most significant biodiversity hotspots in the world. But the problem is with massive tourism, and especially when we focus on one high season tourism that would have unsustainable practices on the biodiversity and ecosystem services. And the analysis actually shows that this negative impacts would affect badly the biodiversity and ecosystem services in the future. This will exacerbate the current negative impacts on our region. Let's go back to the biodiversity first, to the strategic plan of biodiversity. If we go and Google about the Convention of Biological Diversity, we call it, it's named CBD. We know that we will see, or maybe we will find something called the Strategic Plan for Biodiversity. What does it mean? What's the strategic plan for biodiversity? It says that by 2050, the biodiversity should be valued, should be conserved and restored and wisely used in order to maintain sustainable ecosystem services and healthy planet and delivering the benefits essential for all people. So every one of us has the right to benefit from nature, from biodiversity, from all the species that we live with under one ecosystem, but to be careful not to use this nature beyond its capacity. And this is why we call it sustainable use of what we are going to practice in tourism. So the goals to achieve, if you look here about the three main goals of we are looking to achieve, these are actually the goals of the of the Convention of Biological Diversity. First, the conservation of biodiversity, which is very clear to everyone. Sustainable use of its component, just to make sure that we are not going to use the components of ecosystem services and the components of the nature and the biodiversity beyond its capacity in order to make sure that it's sustainable. And the third important one is the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from utilization of genetic resources. What do you mean by this? Is that, for example, I'll give you an example that's very simple and clear to everyone. For example, if we live in nature and we have medicinal plants, so the local community will get benefit from the use of these medicinal plants. They are going to collect these plants, maybe do some herbal teas, etc., that can be benefit in medications. And we have another part, which is the marketing and the distributors. So if the distributor takes these medicinal plants and sell it, the local community will not get benefit from it. So here is one of the main objectives, is that to make sure that also the benefits will be shared in equitable manner with the local community and indigenous people of this area. So these are the three main goals of Convention of Biological Biodiversity. So in this convention, there is also a relationship between the biodiversity and tourism. And the main goal of this is that to make tourism and biodiversity mutually supportive. What does that mean? It means that we are not focusing only on nature. We are not focusing only on the ecosystem that we have in nature, but we also focus on the people that they are using this nature, that they are living in this nature. So when we talk about this, we have local community, we have indigenous people, we have private sector. All of these are components of what we are talking about, and they need to be engaged in our guidelines of biodiversity and ecotourism. So we need a mutually supportive connection and relationship. Also, we need to promote the infrastructure and land use planning of this nature, based on the principles of conservation, of course, and sustainable use of biodiversity. Okay, so usually people living here in Jordan, they know that we have so many natural parks and natural reserves, and we have ecotourism. The ecotourism is not a new terminology in Jordan. We have, many of us, of course, went for hiking in Wadi Mujib, in Ajloun, in many protected areas. So the protected areas are the heart of ecotourism, and this is very important to focus on. We are not talking about having, okay, we have nature everywhere, we have good and beautiful landscape, but at the same time, we need to focus on protected areas. Why protected areas? Why not going just in nature and having the trail and do the hiking, and that's it, just enjoy the nature and that's it? Because the protected areas itself, they have the concept of conservation, and they usually apply the principles of conserving this area. That's why it's protected from its name. So that's why we focus on these areas for ecotourism and for sustainable tourism. Who are the beneficiaries usually in ecotourism activities? We have the visitors, us, right? We have, okay. We have the visitors, us, who's enjoying hiking, enjoying going to nature and going and, for example, see some heritage and cultural places. We have the local tour operators. We call them inbound tour operators, that they facilitate this kind of tours. And we have the local communities and indigenous people in the protected area and around the protected area, not only in, for example, Dana. Let's say Dana in Jordan, it's protected area, right? But we have also the village of Dana. We have also the people living around Dana, that they need to benefit from this kind of activities of tourism. Okay, here, going back to meat, I'm just going to want to introduce this concept and this project. MEET, as I mentioned, stands for Mediterranean Ecotourism, Mediterranean Experience of Ecotourism. The goal of this project, it's a EU-funded project, and now I think that they are having they have now the second phase of this project called Destimed. And now they are working on the third phase, it's called Destimed Plus, and they are enlarging and expanding the natural parks network. So the MEET is, in its concept, it's written here that it's to develop, the goal of this project is to develop an integrated strategy in order to settle an ecotourism development model for the Mediterranean area that boosts a better seasonal distribution of tourism flows. Well, this is what, this is the goal. But I wanted to add something that the best thing in this project is that they created a network of protected areas in Mediterranean. And we were around 8 countries, Spain, France, Italy, Malta, Greece, Tunisia, Jordan, Lebanon. It was like 8 countries. The vision of this project is actually to come up with packages, ecotourism packages, that foster the authentic and active exchange between visitors and local people and protected areas. And of course, resulting in conservation of nature, of natural and cultural resources, and the most important thing, to revitalize the less developed communities in the Mediterranean region. And this is what we are looking for. Another point, it was written here in the goal, and I forgot to focus on, is to have a better seasonal distribution. And this is to decrease the mass tourism. We know, for example, that Wadi Rum, the best season is November, right? Who usually goes to Wadi Rum? It's in November, right? Most of us will go and have camping in November. But in this project, actually, what we focus on is we try to have a distribution not in the high season. We need to distribute the flows of tourism among the year, maybe in spring, maybe in winter, and to find some attractive practices and activities that can attract the tourists and make them enjoy the season during the ecotourism experience. So first, if you would like, let's see this video.
Growing numbers of eco-tourists are looking for sustainable experiences which bring together natural, human and cultural values. Protected area managers are in a great position to create packages, generating income to put back into conservation and community projects.
What we have here in the Mediterranean is experiential travel, and what exists everywhere in the globe is called adventure travel, but it really is more about experiential travel, the kind of things that you can do here. Food, culture, but also being in nature and being in parks and being in protected areas and combining that kind of experience with the ancient culture and existing culture that you have in the Med.
Okay, let's go.
Ecotourism destinations are natural treasures, but they wouldn't exist without the involvement of local communities.
They are very rare, really, and they are flowering in this period.
Their heritage and identity are part of the genuine hospitality they offer ecotourists.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Ecotourism has that lower impact environmentally because smaller groups are spread out and having a much less impact than thousands of travelers streaming off a cruise ship, for example. Those people have a closer tie to the people that they're visiting and allow the money that they're spending to stay in the community.
We want to show that tourism should be seen not only as economical relationships between people, but human relationships.
There are many forms of ecotourism across the Mediterranean region, but there are no standard criteria to regulate activities. Protected area managers, together with local communities, need common guidelines on recycling, energy efficiency, and water conservation to ensure the sustainability of their destinations.
This kind of tourism is indeed helping to keep a good quality of environment. And this is something that we really want to work upon. What we are interested in is to show both locals and visitors that there is another set of values that can be appreciated by both to the benefit of both locals and visitors.
MEET is the name of a community. It brings together protected area managers who share their experiences and best practices, discuss standards, transfer knowledge, and transform their common difficulties into collective solutions.
Il progetto Destimed, con la sua semplicità, con il fatto di averci messo in condizioni di lavorare concretamente nella costruzione di pacchetti, ha reso ben evidenti le grandi potenzialità che può avere un territorio e anche le grandi criticità, in modo tale da poterle superare queste criticità insieme a tutti gli altri partner del progetto.
We are trying to set a standard, being inspired by the principles of the MEET project and Destimed, and these two projects help us really give a great boost to the European Charter for Sustainable Development and help us to translate in tangible actions those principles.
MEET gives support to protected area managers, aiming to create successful ecotourism packages and attract eco-travelers to their region. Working with the managers, MEET can help them develop a new brand to reach a new market.
Ecotourism has existed in the Mediterranean for a long time, but the reality has been that protected area managers have been developing ecotourism in isolation and without the right tools to manage the, let's say, the quality and the impact of ecotourism products.
Conservation organizations and the tourism industry need to work together. They don't know each other, and there needs to be something, some organization, some initiative to bring those two industries together. That's the only way we'll be able to move forward.
Protected area managers are invited to unite across the MEET network and make a difference. In the long term, MEET is here to build momentum, promoting ecotourism as a viable alternative, influencing the entire tourist industry. The future of the Mediterranean is in the balance.
Okay, so going back to the MEET, as you saw, I mean, this is a great experience actually, and I participated in testing these Mediterranean protected areas, maybe in Italy, in Spain, in Lebanon, and no, I didn't went to Tunisia. Okay, and in Lebanon. And they were really, but it was really excited. I was excited, and it was really exciting experience. You can go with people that you don't know. You exchange languages, you exchange culture, you know how to do some activities. That's really, that we don't used to do it in our country. We know about new species that they are endangered. We have some activities. We had some activities where we had to look for some kind of species to know the name of this plant. Is it editable? And we do sometimes some kind of smoothies and go together and do some recipes with the traditional recipes with the local community. And it was really a great experience that you can, if you have the time to go to one of these MEET packages, it will be a great experience and high quality experience for you. So going back to the methodology they used in this project, first they apply the European Charter for Sustainable Tourism, and we are going to this charter in a minute. We'll talk about the 10 points, which are the principles of this charter. Second thing, as you saw in the video, they mentioned that there's kind of guidelines and there's kind of programs and workshops. So there's also building capacity workshops and trainings for local guides, for the protected areas managers, and also for the local tour operators, how to do marketing, how to do organization of these protected areas, etc. Another thing is, as I mentioned before, it's about establishing a network for the Mediterranean. And this is what we need to think about in the Middle East. If we can have this idea to establish also a network in Middle East using the charter of ecotourism, of European ecotourism, it can be applied in Jordan. And I remember that the consultant, the expert consultant of ecotourism, came to Jordan, and they mentioned Wadi Mujib as one of the best destination that applies the European Charter of Sustainable Tourism, and we were proud of this. The last thing, as I mentioned, the test. There should be consultants assigned from the Secretariat. In this project, it was the IUCN Med in Spain. These consultants, they are a group of consultants, ecotourism consultants and experts. They go to the protected areas twice and in different seasons, let's say winter and spring, not high season. And they assess the services, they assess the package itself. What kind of activities? Is there any sustainability use in the activities? What kind of transportation they use? All of these things, and then they come up with their assessment to the secretariats, and then they decide whether this protected area can be considered as one of MEET network or not, or if they can improve. If not, they are out of the network. So what are the European Charter of Sustainable Tourism points? We have 10 points. First, to involve all those implicated in protected areas, as I mentioned before, in and around the protected areas, not only the protected area, but the people that they are living in the protected area. Prepare sustainable tourism strategy and action plan, protect and enhance the area natural and cultural heritage, provide all visitors with high quality experience during their stay and visit, communicate effectively to visitors about the special qualities of the area. And this is very important. I remember that in one protected area, there was a storyteller and people that they can tell you why the history of this place. And you can go for a good journey with them, very interesting. And you will have very high quality information and very high quality experience of your visit. Also, encourage specific tourism products which enable discovery and understanding of the area. For example, in Morocco, if someone went to Morocco, they have this argan oil, and they will explain to you why they are using this kind of oil. In other areas, they will sell you, for example, honey, because this area is famous in producing honey, etc. And this is very good for local community and also for us to know more about this area. Also to increase the knowledge of the protected area and sustainable issues amongst all those involved in tourism. To ensure that tourism supports and does not reduce the quality of life of the local community and residents, and to increase benefits of tourism to the local economy. to monitor and influence visitor flows to reduce negative impacts. And this is very important. We will see in a minute one of the criteria and required minimum criteria for these packages. And one of them is the number of visitors that should not exceed, I think, 16 visitors for the protected area. And this is one of the preconditions for the protected, for the package to be approved. Okay, we still have time. Good. Okay, so about the meat model. As I mentioned, the conservation is the heart of this model, because we are talking about the sustainability, we're talking about the conservation of nature. The meat model benefits conservation, of course. When we start this model, it was 40 protected areas, but now they are only 13. that they are after the test and assessment several times. We come up with only, or maybe the meat secretaries came up with only 13 approved protected areas. The second thing about this model is that it's designed by the protected areas, as I mentioned, because we are looking for the conservation and protected areas, they are protected. And the measured environmental impact. And this is something new that we need to maybe take into consideration in our protected areas. What's interesting in this project is that they develop a platform where they can calculate the ecology footprint for these protected areas. So you go to this website. I think if I can go here and show you, it's a platform. And you can just continue as a guest. You don't have to register. They put that option. Let me just show you this quickly. Okay. So this one is very interesting point to add. So for example, you can go here, put your email and password, and you continue without registration. Let me, no. Okay, so you can see here that you can enter, of course, you're gonna know the name of the protected areas. It's there in the catalog on the website of the meet. You enter here the name of protected area, which country, for example, okay? And you just enter from your experience, or maybe you can Google it, the distance of this protected area from the capital, okay? And you'll see the results of the footprint, of the ecological footprint. And this is an innovative tool that I usually didn't see everywhere in the ecotourism companies or private sectors. And it's really interesting. It's kind of monitoring how this would impact the environment. And this will help the people who's managing these packages to monitor the impact of the activities of these packages on the environment, and to see if they have any negative impact, they need to be improved, and they need to change something in their activities. Okay, going back to this. Okay. So, as I mentioned, the selection criteria, how we can select these protected areas to be part of the network. First, as I mentioned, it should be protected areas, as I mentioned. Second thing, it should be a public act. It should be announced by public act. For example, Ministry of Environment. As I mentioned, in Lebanon, for example, we asked an official letter from Ministry of Environment that, for example, this protected area is managed by management body, and it's announced by the Ministry of Environment. So it should be established with public act, and it should be managed by management body. It should already exist. If not, it should be established. So these are the general selection criteria. Here on this slide, just talk about what kind of activities usually the packages include. So we have the cultural activities, starting sharing with locals in their homes. We go and live with them for 4 days, and learning how to make traditional, sometimes handicraft from something natural, from raw material, and learning language, exchange some languages together, some culture. Gastronomy, we make food together. We make, as I mentioned, smoothie from edible plants. Sometimes I remember in Italy, we did this traditional bread, small cubes of bread that's really salty and very tasty. Also, we have nature-oriented activities like learning about the ecology. As maybe you saw in the video, you have this kind of photos of some animals or some plants, and the people, indigenous people, they are trained to explain to you about the benefits of this plant, or if this species of animal is about to be endangered or something like this. And also the soft adventures that we already know, like hiking, kayaking, what we usually do in our ecotourism activities. This meat project, they decided to have branding values. So as you see here, connection with people. And as the person said in the video, it's not only about the economic relationship, it's also a human relationship. It's not a human and nature, but also human with a human, and active exchange between each other. So it's about connections with people, places, and culture. It's about to understand, of course, visitor each other. The conservation, which is the heart of this project, and should ensure the long-term sustainability of people and places, which is the fundamental, of course, of the brand experience. At the community, that we embrace the concept of collective impact and interconnectedness of protected areas and their surrounding communities. So come back to Middle East, come back to Arab countries. We also have very diverse landscapes. We have the desert, we have the marine protected areas, and we have really cultural heritage, also places nominated by UNESCO. And we can think about maybe having this model to be established in Middle East or in Arab countries, not only in Middle East, but also in North Africa, like Egypt, Sudan, some kind of other places. So if we can manage to establish this this model and this network in Arab countries or maybe in Middle East, that would be also good economically for these areas. It's also good to promote this idea of having the ecotourism as nature and as business, and that can benefit also the local communities, and revitalizing the areas that they are underdeveloped and they need some let's say extra income, improve their livelihoods. Now the ecotourism is considered one of the livelihood and income generating activities for many countries. And let's say maybe a couple of days ago, I was preparing to do a test or exams for a position in the United Nations. And when I was reading all the income generating activities that they are using to help the poor people, or maybe the people that they are living really in very good places, that they have good nature, to get benefit from this nature, to have some kind of income generating activities, and not to rely mainly on agriculture, especially that we are facing now climate change. I'm going back a little bit to my field. Now we have this crisis of climate change, and we are trying to improve the livelihood of people living in rural areas, especially. And most of people that they are living in these areas, they have also some chance to, chances to improve their livelihoods, especially if they live in natural places and culturally good and let's say dominated from UNESCO or by UNESCO of having cultural heritage. So why not they are not being trained to be interpreters, to increase the knowledge about their places and to have extra income that help them not to rely 100% on agriculture or in things that really now we're facing challenges like climate change, like droughts, etc. So here I used some, I went to be honest, I went to UNESCO website. I remember when I was working in IUCN, there's a website and they updated, the UNESCO actually updates this website, increasing the places nominated by UNESCO. And I went and I took the table that they usually have on the website, and I created this dashboard just to give you an overview of the distributions of different UNESCO places. Let's see if it works. Okay, thank God it works. Okay. So you can see here that we have 80 cultural sites nominated by UNESCO. We have 3 of them mixed between natural and cultural. And we have also 5 that they are only natural. If we think together about if we want to establish this network, I'll go for 2 options. The mixed one, because I need I want the visitor to get benefit from nature, at the same time from history. And then I'll go for the 5, the natural ones. So if we succeeded, or maybe if we succeed to create or maybe to establish network, having these places, going to see the characteristics and landscape of these places. I didn't have time to put the photos of every place, but here, for example, the mixed and natural one, is I was able to put some photos. So here, for example, in Tahsil Najar, I think in Algeria, right? Yes, in Algeria. It's a mixed place. We have in Cairo, in Jordan, Badia, and we have here Ahwar in Iraq. So these are places that they are mixed. I'm about to finish. This is last. And of course, maybe you will have. Will they have the presentation after I finish? Okay, so maybe you will play around with this dashboard and see further information about these places. So yes, this is what I'm thinking of, just to create this kind of model, to replicate this model in Middle East by applying the Charter of European. It's not only for European. It's a European Charter for ecotourism, but it can be applied also in Jordan, in Middle East, etc. And I think, as I mentioned, Mujib, according to the test and assessment, they were applying this all the principles of European Charter. So that's it. And if you have any question, please let me know. Thank you.